Peace and love to everybody. How's everybody doing today?
Great.
Good, good. All right. Today we're gonna get into an African proverb, and then we're gonna read another African proverb and discuss it as well. So we're gonna talk about two proverbs, and then if we have time, we're gonna look at a famous black navigator. His name was Paul Coffey. So we're gonna talk about him as well if we have time. So let's get into the poem. I feel like we all should stand up. Can we all stand up and read? All right. When I count to three, we all can read together, and then after that, I want to get everybody's perspective on what they think this means to them and what happens. I'm gonna start with Chase because she's the youngest. I'm gonna work my way back. So 1, 2, 3. A man goes fishing and he brings up a ladder. On the ladder it said, "Rub me." So he did. The genie came out and the genie says, "Your wish is my command." The genie then asked, "What is your command?" The man said, he wants all the gold in the world. The genie says, "You want it now?" And the man says, "Yes, I want it now." Then the genie gave it to him. What happened to the man after the genie granted him all the gold in the world? Chase, what happened?
I think he spent it all.
You think he spent it all? Okay.
Because we read a poem, like, I mean, not a poem, but a passage like this in like King James.
Really? Okay. All right. Sister Valley, what's your idea? What you think happened to the man that was granted all the gold in the world?
I think he became a very rich man.
Okay. All right. And then, Brother Curtis, what do you believe happened to this man after he was granted all the gold in the world?
Genie asked him, did he want the gold now?
Right.
I just picture a lot of gold falling on this man's head and him getting crushed in his gold.
That's it. You know, pretty much he asked for all the gold in the world and the man died. Because think about it, you asking for all the gold in the world, how much of that can you take? How much any man can take with all gold? Like, how much can a man take? Pretty much the moral of the story is what? Can anybody say?
Oh, if he took all the gold in the world, then nobody would have any when he took all the things, and they would all die of hunger.
Okay, I see where you're getting at. Okay. All right, what about you? What's your moral of the story?
Don't take more than you can handle.
Okay.
A lesson in greed.
A lesson in greed, yep. That's my biggest one right there, is just a lesson in greed and just appreciating the little things and never overwhelming yourself with something that you can't handle. So that's pretty much the idea of that. But I'm glad we talked about that. So now you guys have your papers in front of you. Or some of you guys do. Some of you guys don't. It's okay. I think this is a paper too. So we're gonna start with Chase. You're gonna read the first one, and then Sister Valley's gonna read the next one, and then Brother Curtis is gonna read the third line, and I'm gonna read the fourth one, and then we'll read the last two together. All right, so Chase, you're gonna start with the first line.
A person who knows not and knows not that they know not is foolish. Disregard them.
Yeah, disregard them. Okay. So this poem, first of all, is called know thyself. What does that mean first? Let's talk about that first. What does know thyself mean? Anybody know? Know thyself? Do you know what that means? Yep.
Being in tune with yourself, knowing your limits, knowing all about yourself, being in tune with yourself.
Remember a term that I brought up earlier? Does anybody remember what that means?
I remember writing that. Can't remember what it is.
Yeah, what does that mean? Do you remember? It means having a profound understanding. So like Sister Valerie was talking about, just being in tune with yourself, getting that profound understanding of who you are. What that entails is maybe studying your natal chart. What that entails is, looking up your ancestral lineage. What that entails is reading about your history, doing this poem together like we're doing today. So like doing things like that to help yourself gain more knowledge and understanding and wisdom of yourself to be able to share with the world. So, but anyway,
I say something.
Yeah, go ahead.
Something that I practice, that I started practicing for myself, is asking myself the 5 questions that you're supposed to ask about anything: the who, what, when, where, and why, and how.
Yeah.
And I ask those of who I am, why I am, where I am,
Right.
what I'm here for, when am I actual, to give myself some type of definition of myself.
Right, yep, exactly. Those are the key questions. A wise man once told me that. Yeah, so I know exactly what you're talking about. So, so Chase read, a person who knows not and knows not that they know not is foolish, disregard them. Why would we want to disregard a person like that? What does disregard mean, Chase?
I think the word before that.
It means to not pay attention to, not to tune it out. Okay, so you would disregard something that is not necessary. You no longer may need it, or you may not even need it at all. You may want to just give it your back. So you disregard that. So a person that knows, a person who knows not and knows not that they know not is foolish. So why would we want to disregard a person like that?
Probably because maybe they could have been unresponsible.
Okay, they could be irresponsible. Okay, anybody else?
They can mislead you.
Mislead you. Sister Valerie?
Yeah, they can be ignorant.
They could be ignorant, right? So, ignorant, that's a term that we use in society, and it simply means you don't know something. And when you don't know something, that's okay. You can learn and grow. But when you're stupid, on the other hand, you know it, but you still tend to disregard the information anyway, knowing that it may cause you consequences and stuff like that. So it's like, you gotta disregard that. If somebody chooses to be foolish when they have the knowledge and the wisdom and understanding to do the right things, then you have to disregard them at times. Sometimes you may have to give people love from a distance. That's family, friends. If you try to physically tell them things, mentally share your expressions with them. I know personally with me, I've shared things with family and friends, and sometimes that message may not get across to them because everybody's mental capacity is different. So you can take this bottle, for example, right? This is a type of capacity that some people may have. Then you have this bottle here, it's another capacity that somebody could have. You have another bottle right here. It shows you the mental capacity as well. And then you have an even bigger one. Does anybody know what that capacity entails?
Unlimited. Unlimited. capacity.
Yep,
Universal.
exactly. So we all have to meet each other. My point that I'm trying to make is that it's one point in time where we all didn't know the information that we once knew. So we shouldn't be so quick to condemn others that don't know it. We have to be patient with some people, you know. So it's hard. It's hard to not to disregard people, our people, you know, because we're trying to work with our people, you know, to do better. So, and that's a part of knowing yourself. When you know things, you do better. So it's hard to disregard the foolishness, but at times you have to choose and you have to treat situations with discernment to make sure if that's the right thing to do. You know, you're not just disregarding it just to disregard it, you're doing it for a reason. If the person is really not trying to, you know, retain the information, then we have to draw a line, a boundary to not deal with it anymore. So that's a part of life. It has to be balanced, you know, because if it's not balanced, then the scale is going to constantly go like this, and your heart is not staying afloat, as we talked about with the scales of my eye. Does anybody remember what that entails?
When your heart was weighed against the feather.
Pretty much, yep. And if your heart, what happens if your heart is not afloat? What happens? Does anybody know? What happens?
Yeah,
Wow.
what they gonna send you to? Yeah, you just.
Yep, because that's a lot. That's very deep. Yeah, a lot of stress causes heart attacks. So I guess you, physically speaking, biologically speaking, that is correct. So you are right. But moving on, I know I went a little bit further beyond the poem. But if you would like to read next, Sister Valerie, the second part.
A person who knows not and knows that they know not is simple. Teach them.
Okay. So we already kind of talked about that a little bit. We all don't know things in here. What is it that you really don't like know right now that you feel like you need to learn as a person? Anybody? What is it that you're trying to learn right now?
Control anger. Control my emotions.
Controlling your emotions, okay? What about you, Chase? What are you trying to learn right now that's kind of hard for you?
How white people came to existence.
Okay.
And how black people created them.
Wow. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So that's a very intriguing question. So it's a lot of theories behind that. So one theory is that white people came from caves, from the Caucasus. And the reason why that theory is in place is because biologically speaking and according to anthropology, white people maximum is about 8,000 years old. So it's like they haven't been around that long. And then another theory is that they are offspring of us. So they are a mutation of black people, because black people are the heart of the universe. We are the soil of the earth. And the sun, the trees, the water, we all have a great, profound relationship with one another. You know, and black people understood that, especially in Kemet. That's why we have people like Amenhotep, who is the father of medicine. He's the one before Hippocrates, who people say, he said food is like medicine. Well, Iron Hotep, he was talking about that thousands of years before Hippocrates was even thought of in Greece. So, you know what I mean? So those are the theories. You know, you can take which theory you want and say which one makes more sense to you, or you can keep searching for answers, because it's still a debatable question. You know what I mean? I know for myself, I believe everything comes from black people, because without blackness, there is no rainbow. We already understand that, right? Go ahead.
I remember my mom said something about this white person stole the idea of a black person invention.
Yeah, that's true, because a lot of times back in the times where it was slavery and Jim Crow, a lot of black people during those times couldn't have access to patents, so that those patents that they wanted to have for their inventions, the white people were already taking over that. They had the money and the power and the privilege to do so. So that's why a lot of black people weren't known for their inventions, because a lot of white people were able to get patents for those ideas. And they took over those ideas, like Thomas Edison, for example, for the light bulb. They say George Washington Carver had something to do with that invention, along with somebody else. So with that power and privilege, what they still contain right now, that gives them that leeway to keep those patents and get those ideas and steal them and call them their own. They've been doing that since command. Napoleon has defaced the nose of the Sphinx because he was so in awe about, man, this can't be a black person. This can't be true. We gotta shoot this down. They can't see this. They can't see it. So that's a part of that. You know, that's a part of iconoclasm, where they purposely whitewash history and say this is not true, this is ours, we're gonna adopt it and change it to something else. It's called revisionism. That's another term they use as well. You know, iconoclasm, revisionism history, which is not true, or romanticize history. You know, we gotta tell things like it is. That's why we have that, you know. So, but anyway, those are some good, you made me, whew, I like that. Boy, you got me on my toes over here, boy. That's some good questions. And some good points you made too. So Curtis, if you don't mind, read the third part.
I read the third one. But one thing I want to say about the second one is that when it says a person who knows not and knows that they know not, it's important for you to be able to admit that you don't know. It takes a person to admit what he don't know.
Exactly.
So that you be able to give him what he don't know.
Right. I agree. I completely agree with that. That is completely true. You want to go ahead with the third part?
It says a person who knows not and believes that they know is dangerous. Avoid it.
I'm gonna write a term up here for y'all. Let me see if I can read it. Write it. Anybody know what that is?
Cognitive dissonance, yeah.
What is that?
Let's see, how can I explain it?
Cognitive dissonance.
Basically, when something is presented to you and there's evidence behind it, and people still make excuses to why it's not so. Is basically the best way I can explain it.
Okay. Chase, you want to add to your mom's point? What? Okay.
No, I'm actually learning about it.
Okay, so cognitive dissonance is pretty much when the truth is inconvenient to somebody, they go back to the reassuring lie, as Sister Valerie said it in different words. But that's pretty much what this what that third part is entailing. It's saying that a person who knows not and knows that they know not is. Oh no, I'm reading the second line. I'm sorry. A person who knows not and believes that they know is dangerous and avoid them. So they believe in their heart that lie is going to pretty much put them in that position of where it's going to be truth for them, because that truth was inconvenient for them. So that lie then becomes a truth for them. So then that makes them dangerous because they adopt a lie as a truth. So you wouldn't want to be around a person like that because they become delusional and they have an alternate reality of things and how a work works. That's why you have, well, we can debate about this, but I'm going to throw in an example, Democrat and Republican. I'm not going to be neither one of those because that's like asking me, do I want to eat rotten eggs or dog food? And I don't want to do neither of those. So I'm going to avoid that. You know what I'm saying? So I had to throw that analogy in there just to make my point. Yeah, you making me laugh. But I'm just saying that's the truth. But that's my point. Did anybody else want to bring anything else up regarding our third line? Reread? Sister Valerie, look like you got something in your mind.
No.
We're going to read that together. We're going to read the last two together. Or you want to read the fourth line. I'm sorry. You can read the fourth line. You can do that. Go ahead.
All of these.
Nope.
The fourth paragraph.
A person who knows and knows that they know is wise.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
So what does that mean? Starting with you, Chase, since you read it, what does that mean to you?
I think it means that they're a wise person and they might help you.
Okay. Have you ever heard of this, Chase, or anybody? A sage?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That was
Okay, what do you know what it means? What is a sage? You want to talk about it, Curtis?
I'm not exactly. I've heard it referred to in magical terms.
A sage is like a prophet or a person that is wise. So if you ever, we have many sages in the African community and even in our history. So Amenhotep was a person we just talked about, which is the father of medicine. He's a sage. We look to people like him, Yusuf, Osi, yourself even. You know, we look at these guys. This is what we look for. And sometimes, unfortunately, I hate to say this and be the bearer of bad news, but sometimes a prophet sometimes doesn't have friends, because sometimes when you tell the truth, it becomes hate speech to some people, you know. And wise wisdom, and knowledge, real knowledge, applied knowledge, sometimes leave you being a sage. We don't have many friends, but we do our best to practice Ubuntu. Does anybody remember what that term is? We talked about that.
Is that I am because we are?
Yep. Or I am because we are. It can be either way. I am because we are, or we are because I am.
What
You
does
know?
gullible mean? Gullible.
Gullible means that you're naive to things. You will believe kind of like anything somebody will tell you. You know.
Without questioning it.
Yeah, without questioning it yourself. You just automatically take somebody else's word for it without doing the research yourself, like your mom mentioned. So Where did you hear that? Who said that?
It was a video that I watched.
Oh, okay. You got some good stuff. I like the questions and points you make.
You know, I was talking to somebody earlier about being called senior citizens once people get to a certain age, and that's almost disrespectful.
Really?
Yeah, because it make you feel like you old. It make you feel because next year, no, in October I'll be 50, and in 5 more years I'll be considered a senior citizen. And that don't sound like something I want to be.
That's a term that was given by American society.
Right.
Like I posted when I turned, I turned 30 on 9/11/89, but on this particular year is 9/11. What do you call that? Where the numbers, no matter if you go forward or backwards, it's gonna be the same. I can't remember what that's called, but that's something divine. But anyway, my point, what I was about to make, you said something
About senior citizens, but I was saying that for the sage, that I like the word sage better than I do senior citizen, because it means the same thing. It just means that you're wise. It means that you're an elder or somebody that people can turn to and get information from, and you have experience.
And and I was gonna add to that. So what I was gonna say, I turned 30 on this day, and then I made a post about it saying that, like, I feel myself growing. I feel my growth mentally and spiritually, but physically I feel youthful only because like exercising, like meditation, and just me constantly telling myself that one is only as old as one feels, so just using that positive affirmation to ensure myself, my esteem and all of that stuff that we talked about with the 42 affirmations and everything of that sort. But so you made me think about that, so I'll only bring that up to say that. But anyway, I would like for everybody to read the last line together, because I guess Chase wanted to read she wanted to read that. The fourth line. No, that was the fifth line, actually. I'm sorry. So we're going to read the last one together, and everybody stand up. Because I need everybody to stand up and work out the jitters and the kinks and get all the mental things out their minds. All right, so the last part, I'm going to count to 3. We're going to all read it. 1, 2, 3. All of these persons reside in you. Know thyself, and 2 might not be true.
Wait, I have a question.
Yes.
What does thy mean?
Thy is like, it's old English.
Yourself.
Yeah. So it's just an old English word that people don't really use now, but it's an ancient word. Like, ain't it like for the? Thy is like the. Your. It's an old ancient English word. People don't really use it no more.
I remember that in a book I was reading when I was in 3rd grade. My teachers, I was reading a book, and it said something like similar to that.
Okay, so now I want to ask you, since we all read that last line, I want you guys to think about it to yourself. You don't have to, give no feedback. Which one of these reside in you the most out of all? And then think to yourself, what ways can you improve as a person? So which one resides in you the most? Which one you feel that you're currently in, the state that you're in right now, and then which one that you're working towards. So, in regards to the lines, if none of them applies, that's pretty good as well. So, that's something that we're all working on. I feel like
Are we supposed to answer these out loud? Or is it just
No, this is rhetorical. This is rhetorical. So you don't gotta give no feedback because it's personal. I know some things are personal to some people. So, but anyway, we do have more time to spare. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the other part of the lesson out. If we don't finish it, we'll go ahead and finish the reading for next time. But we can get started on it today, actually, because we do have some time. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. Here, you want to pass it out to everybody? Okay, make sure everybody get one.
You know, the one thing here that I would really recognize myself in is that a person who knows, and knows. No, that's not it.
Okay, what were you about to say? Are you gonna eat anything? No, but I can give you $1 to go into the vending machine if you want to. Yeah. You can whatever.
As bad as it might sound, the one that I recognize in me the most is a person.
There's a vending machine right there, bro.
Is a person who knows not and knows that they know not. Even though it says that person is simple, I always believe there's more that I can learn. Mm-hmm. And I know that I don't know everything, so I have to recognize that I know not, that and that I need to know more. So
and it's funny that you say that. I like that you brought that up because you know that only 5% of the ocean has been explored, and the farthest that we've gone down the ocean is about. How tall is Mount Everest? Does anybody know? About 29,000 feet in the air, or 30,000 feet. That's about as far as we went down in the ocean. I say that to say is that it's always constant room, like we was talking about for the mental capacity levels. When you look beyond the bottle, these bottles and leave the world to be your container or your limitless way of thinking and growing and constantly going through the law of harmony and the law of reciprocity by the actions and thought patterns that you provide to the universe. And I say that to say, like, it must be a balance pretty much. It just needs to be a balance in all things that we do. So,
but I know, like, in times people believed that the world was flat. Then they thought that we was the center of the universe and our 8 planets were the universe. And they found the Milky Way. And they shot the Hubble telescope out into the space. And now they know that there's 500,000 more universes, or 100,000 more universes. There's so many more universes than we thought it was, and we're not the center of the universe.
Right.
But at one time, that's what man thought, and that's all every man on the planet thought, that we were the center of the universe. You know, so I know that there's room to grow, and it's just that I'm in this time frame, so that's all we as humans know now. I know 100 years from now we'll know more. You know, so I always see that there's more that I can learn.
Yeah.
And I think that's important for everybody to realize about themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as long as you're willing to grow, you recognize that in yourself, and you realize that you don't know everything. Like, there are some people who, you know, stop at a certain point because they feel that they know everything.
A plateau.
So, you know,
that's
they're not willing to, you know, to grow higher.
Exactly. Right.
So,
exactly.
And that would fall back to the person who knows not that he knows not. He wants who don't know.
That they don't know.
Yeah, that they don't.
That's the dangerous one.
That's the dangerous.
Yeah, and that's hard because we've been programmed for so long to do the same thing over and over, like our eating habits, like our
voting habits.
Everything we do, every move that we make in society is a political decision.
Yeah,
you're casting your vote every time you do something. Every amount of money that you spend, you're putting that energy into something that you need or want, you know, and that is your political move, from the hairstyle that you wear, to the shoes that you rock, to the clothes that you wear. everything.
So how you
is
structure your relationship with your family and the people you choose to be in?
exactly. These are the political decisions that we make that we don't really, that we kind of take for granted. You know what I mean? We kind of take it for granted only because we do it every day and we don't really think nothing of it. You know, but these decisions may give us from from point A to point B, and that's the law of compensation. You do one thing to get something else. You know, you get one thing, you do this in order to make that happen. So that's what happens with us. But anyway, I wanted to get into the beginning of Paul Coffey, and he was a famous mariner, navigator. He was born into slavery. His family, his dad was from the Asante Empire, and pretty much his mom was Native American. They both were enslaved. In addition to that, we're going to read a little bit about that. I don't want to get into it too deep, but we can all read it together. Chase, do you want to start with the first 1, 2, well, go ahead and read the first paragraph. Just read the whole first paragraph, Chase.
The future mariner was born on January 17, 1759.
Okay.
During the French and Indian War in Cutty
Yep, that's correct.
Island, Massachusetts, he was the youngest son of Coffee or Cuffy,
Yep.
Slocum, and Rufus Moses in 1766. When Bull was 8 years old, the family moved to a farm in Dartmouth, Massachusetts. Bull's dad died in 1772. When Bull was 13, his mother Ruth Moses died on January